Hello and welcome back, everybody. Just wanted to go over how to create a box plot with a set of data here. We hopefully have seen some videos on how this is done already, but I just wanted to give one final example here to make sure that it's really sunk in and give you all the exact steps on how to do this. So the first thing is that we need our set of data, which we have here. We need to put that data in order from least to greatest. Now, I already have this one in order, so we don't really need to do that one, but that is something that we need to do first if our data is not already in order from least to greatest. So that's step one there. The second step, and this is like probably the most time-consuming step, is to find the 5-number summary. And the 5-number summary is just key terms that we use to talk about the minimum, maximum, Q1, Q2, Q3. That would be called the 5-number summary. Remember that Q2 is also known as the median. So once we have all of our data set up from least to greatest, the two easy ones here are the minimum and the maximum, because the minimum is going to be the number that's on the far left, or the first number that we get. And the maximum is also really easy because that's the one that's on the far right, or the last number in our data set after ordering it from least to greatest. Now we get into the quartiles, quartile 1, 2, and 3. It's always easiest to do the median first and then go from there, because when we're creating we're finding this median here that will help us figure out what Q1 and Q3 is. So remember, the median is going to be the middle number in our data set. So what we need to do is we need to count to find where the middle of this data set is here. In this case here, this data set has 20 numbers, and I have it split up 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom. So the middle two numbers, because there's an even amount in our data set, there's two middle numbers, right? So if we were to cross off all of these until we got to the middle, we'd land on 14 and 16. And because we land on 2, remember, to find the median with an even number of data points, we have to find the mean of these two middle numbers. Remember, the mean, or the average, is just adding those data points and dividing by 2. That just tells us the middle number between those two, which we would find out is 15. So now I'm going to go ahead and move to a red color to talk about Q1 here. Once we've found the median, which is the number that would go right in between 14 and 15 here, that median splits our data set in half. We have the lower half here and the upper half here. In this case here, the smaller numbers here is going to be what we're going to use to find Q1. Because once we've split our data in half, now if we just look at each half and find the median of that half, that gives us our quartiles. In this case here, if we're going to try and find the quartile 1, we're going to look at this half right here, and we would find the middle number. Now, if you notice, sorry, it's getting a little messy here. I'll go ahead and erase the lines here after we get Q3 done. We land on 11 and 13. And again, we then have to find the mean between those two middle numbers, because our new, if you would call it, data set here is 10 numbers. Since it's even, we land on 2 numbers, which we then have to find the mean, or the average of, by adding them together and dividing it by 2, which will end up giving us 12. Now finding Q3, and then I'll go ahead and clear up this data set here. So again, finding Q3 is just like finding Q1, but we're looking at the larger of the data halves. So in this case here, this bottom piece here has all of our higher numbers here. So again, we're just going to cross out until we get to our middle numbers. And as expected, we land on 2 numbers because our upper half is 10 numbers, an even number. So we then have to find the average of these two. So now we have our 5-number summary. Remember, that's the minimum, maximum, Q1, Q2, Q3. And remember, the Q2 is the same thing as the median. Now that we have those 5 numbers, we can actually get to drawing the box plot. So once we've done this, now when we start to draw it, we have to start with a number line. Now the number line doesn't have to be going by ones necessarily. In this one, it goes from 3 is our minimum and 51 is our maximum, which is going to be a large amount of dashes in our line here if we're going to go by 1. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and go by 5s. So now that we've created our number line here, I went by 5s and it includes all the numbers that are going to be in our data set here. So once we've drawn that, we have to draw lines at each of the 5 numbers in the 5-number summary. I'm going to do the minimum and the maximum in black here, and then also the median. So the minimum here is 3, which would land right about here. The median is 15, which lands right about here. And the maximum is 51, which lands right about here. Now Q1 is 12, so we have to draw a line at 12, which lands right about here. And Q3 is 21, which lands right about here. Boom, done with that. Now we have to create a box around the quartiles. So remember, the quartiles are Q1, Q2, and Q3. And all we have to do is just connect these here, which create us a nice little box around our quartiles. Boom, done with creating the box. Last thing we gotta do is in the middle of this here, we have to touch from the Q3 to the maximum and from the minimum to Q1. And once we've done that, we are finished with our box plot. So again, just to go over the steps, we have to put our data in order from least to greatest, which we did here. Then we find the 5-number summary, the minimum, the maximum, Q1, the median, and Q3. Then we have to draw a number line, make sure to use whatever increments you need. So go by 5s or 10s or 1s, whatever it would work with your data set. Then we draw the lines for all of our 5-number summary, which is the minimum, maximum, Q1, Q2, and Q3. And then we create a box around the quartiles and lines that we attach from the Q3 to the maximum and the minimum to Q1. If you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email. Otherwise, good luck, and I hope to talk to you soon.